Hello everyone and welcome back to Fallout 76. Today I want to cover a topic that can be a bit confusing, but is very important to understand, especially for newer players, and that's the rules of engagement for PvP. This is going to be a pretty broad overview showing the basic mechanics. You'll learn how to avoid unwanted PvP or how to initiate or accept it, whichever you prefer. Anyone who's played the game for a while can probably attest to a handful of exploits and inconsistencies that occasionally plague the system, but by and large, it's pretty simple once you see it, and it works properly the vast majority of the time. Remember, if you like videos like this, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the Fallout 76 content I upload every week on the channel. With that out of the way, let's get started. The first thing to show here is what happens when you have a PvP interaction with two players that both have pacifist mode turned on. And a big thank you to my friend Little Elf for being my guinea pig for this video. It is very much appreciated. And you can see here, I can shoot her all day long, doesn't do any damage. I have pacifist mode on. That's what it does. It prevents me from doing damage to other players. She has it on too, so when she shoots me, again, no damage is done, no PvP is initiated at all. We're both completely safe from each other. To enable pacifist mode, you just use your settings. It's under game settings, and it's a simple toggle: pacifist mode on, pacifist mode off. Having it on, which I'm leaving it on here, is going to protect other people from you. That's the idea. So here we'll see what happens when she turns hers off. She's gone ahead and turned pacifist mode off. I still have it on. So this would be a scenario where maybe I want to avoid unwanted PvP, but maybe somebody else wants to initiate it and they're looking for a fight. So here we'll see what happens. I can shoot her. My pacifist mode is enabled. I am not doing damage. And I get that little warning up in the top left that tells me that I'm not doing damage. And momentarily, here we go, we'll see what happens with her shooting me. And you can see that it's still not doing any damage. And it's not doing any damage because in order to initiate PvP, you have to accept PvP. The way you do that is by proceeding to do damage to the person who shot you. With pacifist mode on, I cannot do that, so it doesn't matter. She can shoot me all she wants. Nothing can happen. Completely safe from unwanted PvP as long as one of us has pacifist mode on. Now, if I go ahead and turn pacifist mode off, things are going to change. Basically, when you run with pacifist mode off, you're saying, I accept PvP from anybody who wants to bring it, and I can initiate it. So if she shoots me here with a shot that would do damage, I'll see that I'm under attack. So now I'm under attack, but I haven't shot her back yet. So PvP is still not initiated. We can't do anything until I shoot her. She can shoot me all day long. Can't do any damage until I hit back. Once I do that, you'll see that it does 0 damage because your first shot back does 0. There's the 0. So now hostilities have been initiated. Rather than just fight it out here, I'm going to show you one of the other big things that happens. Once hostilities are initiated, not only do you become vulnerable to the person you're hostile to, so does your camp. This is the only way that anyone can destroy your camp. So now that we're red to each other, now that we're hostile to each other, I can shoot her camp objects, I could explode things, I can do what I want there. So I can destroy that ashtray, I can run around and find something else to destroy. I don't know, maybe, how about this defensive fence here? We'll see how long it takes to make that go away. There we go, alright. See, we fixed her fence. Now we'll, look for something else just to continue to drive the point home. She has a sheep squatch plushie around here somewhere. Let's make him pay for the sake of education. There you go. Sheep Squatch has paid for your PvP education. And we'll play some darts. There we go. Dartboard's fixed. So you get the point. When you're hostile to another player, when you're red to another player, you can damage them and you can damage each other's camps. When you are not hostile to another player, neither of you should be able to do any damage to each other's camps. That's the way the system is designed. And outside of a few exploits, that's how it works 99.9% of the time. Now that we've shown that, let's see what happens when we start shooting each other. So I'm a much higher level character than her. This is my 400 something level character. She's on a 39, so the damage is going to be completely disproportionate, but we see how it works. We'll get the point. So now we're still hostile. We stay hostile. We've got the hostile music playing. And just to show you the damage here, so I'm doing 98 damage with a bloodied fixer. I'm at full health though, so 98 damage, and I'm going to take a shot here, and you'll see how much damage I do. It's going to be limited based on her armor and whatever perks she has on, and you can see that I only did 46. So my weapon does 98, but I only did 46 damage. So whatever she's running has substantially reduced the amount of damage she takes. Now, the next thing I want to see is, do my sneak attack bonuses, my 2.0 or 2.5 or 3.5% bonuses, do those multipliers work when I go into stealth? And here we're going to see when I take a shot, I do 110. I've changed nothing other than crouching and being in caution. So it works exactly like it does in PvE. If you're in a hidden or you're in caution and you're crouched, you will get your sneak attack multiplier, but you're limited to 110 damage per shot. That's true for every weapon, for every build. All PvP in adventure mode is capped at 110 damage per shot. So it gives a huge advantage to high rate of fire weapons. If you're a sniper with a lever action rifle going against somebody with an automatic handmade, guess what? You're probably toast. If you're using a fat man against somebody with an automatic pipe rifle, guess what? You're probably toast. Now we're going to prove that. I've bloodied myself up. I'm doing 302 damage per shot, and I'm going to sneak. This shot should be worth at least 700 damage, and it still does 110. That's it. That's all. So sneak attacks work, and that's good to know, but you are limited to 110 damage per shot. We'll go ahead and heal up here so we're not popping each other off in 1 or 2 bullets as we go. So now we'll speed things along a little bit here just to confirm that we are both hostile. I can do damage to her. She can do damage to me. She's going to take some shots here, and, you know, her character is a lot lower level than mine. It doesn't have an optimized build. This is just kind of a work in progress, but she's doing some damage. So you can see there that obviously with my character being more optimized, I would have the upper hand in this fight. But, you know, you can still do some damage even at lower levels. The key here is understanding how the mechanics work. So basically, if you both have Pacifist off, one person shoots, the other person shoots back, then you both go red, you both go hostile, and you can go ahead and get into a fight. So now what's interesting that she's trying to do here is she's trying to go into stealth to see if she can get those sneak attack bonuses, because her damage is a lot lower than mine. And this is kind of interesting. I was never really sure how this worked, knowing that there's actual human beings behind the cameras here. But so her build doesn't have a lot of perception points in it yet, where mine does. I'm completely maxed out in perception. I've got mutations that boost my perception, so it's really high, and that's what affects your ability to detect other things. So you can see here that I'm in caution, but the entire time she's walking around her camp here, she's crouched, she's sneaking around, she can't get out of danger. Because my character has such high perception, she can't get into caution or hidden to make a sneak attack against me. So that's something to be aware of in PvP. It does give you a pretty significant advantage if your perception is significantly higher than your opponent's. It will make it a lot harder for them to get that sneak attack bonus, while you might have an easier time doing that. So basically, when it comes to stealth and detection in PvP, it's very much like PvE. The game can't really tell what you can or can't literally see, but it can tell who has the higher perception, and that's kind of the battle there. So basically, whoever's got a significant advantage in perception is going to win. Now here, the other thing I want you to see is right now in PvP, VATS does not work for the vast majority of weapons. That may not be relevant a few months from now. This video is being published in early August 2020. Now you can see once I go out of VATS, she's toast. So keep that in mind as you go around, as you get in fights. If you have someone in VATS and you're shooting almost any weapon right now, if you're doing damage numbers but you're not seeing their health drop, that's why. So now the next experiment we want to do is we want to see how this works at workshops. And this is interesting. This is a lot simpler and more interesting than I remember it being. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. To get things started here, Elf went ahead and took over the abandoned Bogtown workshop. So she is now a feisty low-level player with a freshly minted workshop. And here I am, a level 400 and something, walking in to start some trouble. So when I go in here, I do want to turn pacifist mode back on because I want to show you how all of this works. So the first thing I do here is I turn pacifist mode back on. I'm not claiming the workshop yet. Right now, we are just two random players passing by each other in a workshop. We know workshops are PvP zones, but only under certain circumstances. So right now, pacifist is enabled. I'm shooting her. It's doing nothing. She's shooting me. It's doing nothing. Her pacifist mode is still off. So once again, same rules apply. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn pacifist mode off. And you'll see that I can shoot her. Nothing happens because no one's contesting the workshop. Once someone contests the workshop, then all bets are off. But until then, normal PvP rules of engagement apply. I can shoot her, she can shoot me, nothing happens. Now, I can initiate PvP with the owning player by claiming the workshop. And she got a similar warning to that when she took it. She knew, because she saw the warning that other people can initiate PvP with her, she knew that by taking the workshop, she was at risk for that. Now, of course, this is all just staged for science, but most players, when they take a workshop, they'll see that, and they should understand that workshops are PvP zones. People can come in and murder you, take your junk, do whatever they want, and then simply run away and completely ignore the claim altogether. And that's often what happens, and there's a lot of players that get upset about that. So, really, really important thing for anybody that's new to the game, for anybody that's just figuring things out, remember two big rules when it comes to workshops. Number one, they are PvP zones. There is a good chance that you will get murdered by someone if you take one. Number two, stash your junk. Always, always stash your junk, especially if you're going to take over workshops. If you do that, then you don't really have anything to lose. And if somebody comes along and picks a fight, hey, go ahead and fight it out. Why not? You've got nothing to lose. It's nothing personal. It's just people who are looking to play the game and have fun the way they want to have fun. So remember that. Stash your junk and emotionally prepare yourself to be murdered if you take a workshop. Now here's where things start to get interesting. You'll notice here that in my game settings, I still have pacifist mode on. I have turned pacifist mode on, elf owns the workshop, as she did before. I do not. So if I were to shoot her here, it wouldn't do anything. But if I claim that workshop, she now becomes hostile. And I can hurt her. The game overrides pacifist mode. She can now shoot me too. Her pacifist mode was on. It's irrelevant. When you are in a contested workshop and when you are one of the contesting parties, your pacifist mode choice is completely overridden. That means one of two big things. Number one, if you want to defend a workshop or you want to take over a workshop and you're in pacifist mode, you don't actually have to stop and change anything. You can go ahead and do what you're going to do. If somebody attacks you at your workshop and you have pacifist mode on, you can still shoot back at them. It will do damage. Once they contest it, it's all off. All bets are off. So go ahead and do what you're going to do. The other side of that is, if you are someone who likes to engage in workshop PvP, but doesn't like to engage in PvP elsewhere, you still don't have to run around with pacifist mode off, getting into accidental altercations when you're not expecting it. So here again, pacifist mode's still off for both of us. She came back into the zone before the workshop contesting period was over, and we see how that ended, which is of course going to be the way it is. Her character's lower level than mine. So that's not to say that there aren't low-level players who can dish out quite a bit of pain in PvP. There are. But, the whole point of that was really just to show you that if you want to avoid accidental PvP, you can. You do that simply by leaving pacifist mode on all the time. Even if you want to take workshops, even if you want to take someone else's workshop, even if you want to jump in and defend yours when someone takes it over, it's all okay. You can leave pacifist mode on when you're in the contested zone of a workshop and you're one of the contesting parties. Your pacifist mode is overridden. I didn't realize that going into this. We learned that while we were doing this, and I thought that was really interesting. It really does simplify the whole thing. So in conclusion, the lessons to take away from today are the following. If you want to avoid PvP completely, then turn on pacifist mode and stay away from workshops, at least on public servers. Outside of a handful of rare and ever-changing exploits, you'll be perfectly safe. If you want to get into PvP anywhere and everywhere, then turn pacifist mode off. If you trade shots with another player who doesn't have it enabled, you'll be able to fight. If you only want to engage in workshop PvP, which is kind of the only designed PvP in adventure mode at the moment, then you can turn pacifist mode on to avoid accidental confrontations elsewhere, but be confident that you can still engage with other players inside contested workshop zones. I hope this helps break down some of the mystery. I know the rules of engagement for PvP can be confusing, and I'm willing to bet there are some players out there that didn't even know that pacifist mode existed. As always, if you liked this video, found it helpful, or anything in between, go ahead and like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Until next time, I'm Fisty McRib.